They work in teams of 5, arrayed like the talons of a claw. They are eager, smiling creatures, flushed red with revolutionary zeal, youthful determination, and something else, something that beckons from the back of their dreams like a deep black ocean. It is very close now. They are known to others as the clade of the sleepers, but to each other, they are just we. Individuality is a trap, forced on mankind by the imposter emperor. Their father has taught them the truth. Father has taught them many truths. He has opened many doors. Many more are still closed, but father's fathers are already rapping on the other side. No member of the clade of the sleepers, save perhaps father himself, knows the true size of their organization. Still, there must be thousands, perhaps even millions, in the lower hives. Everywhere, a wink, a nod, a serpentine symbol. Code phrases hissed with the delight of a shared secret. Shapes moving under rough robes. Something in the eyes. The violence, the necessary glorious violence, has begun. The revolution has been underway for a week. The planetary governor will not realize as such until about 4 hours from now, when one of his concubines slits him open like a fish shortly after presenting him with breakfast. The clade of the sleepers takes no joy in violence. Every soul not saved is lost. Father weeps for each and every one of them. As many as possible must be kept alive to meet father's fathers when they arrive. The most fortunate of the children are fighting below, taking the spires one layer at a time in open combat against the few local militia who do not already belong to the clade. Further up in the hives, a second, silent war is taking place. As the great mass of the cult works their way up, cells of domestic servants, maintenance workers, and trusted inductees from the noble classes are working their way down. They have 1,000 tiny, essential missions. Some cut communications lines, others reroute power. Some have been sent to secure vital resources for the cult. Ket's team is one such group. The upper hive has long been the most dangerous battlefield for the cult. The wealthy who dwell here have their own rituals, obsessions, and protocols, making infiltration difficult. They have grown fat on the Emperor's corpse, too comfortable to see the need for father's love. Their spacious, luxurious hab zones lack the rich bounties of power, industrial machinery, and oppressed civilians that advantage the cult. There are, however, valuable exceptions. Ket's team have discovered a private collection, a cache of vehicles in perfect condition, owned by some eccentric retired tech broker. He makes for a pathetically easy mark. The old fool is so eager to show off his findings that he lets them right in. Once the security doors are open, they set to work. The team spring upon the motor pool with insectile, instinctive efficiency. There is a scratching in their minds that seems to guide their actions. If they stand too close to each other, their dreams seem to bleed into one another. Each vehicle is inspected, measured, and judged. A lifter sentinel is hastily initiated into the cult with a stencil and airbrush. A luxury ground car, used to ferry dignitaries around the spacious boulevards of Uphive, is laden with mining charges. The door is left open, tantalizingly offering escape for any nobles who flee the purges. Most of the vehicles will be used for transport duty, exchanging fresh troops and wounded ones and vice versa, when the fighting reaches this layer of the hive or, once the fighting is over, delivering the unsaved to meet father's fathers. However, there is something. A vehicle that has been set up as the crowning jewel of the collection on a central dais. Is that a Lehman Russ? Garrick's too long tongue makes him hiss the words, but his tone bears an unmistakably human awe. None of them have ever seen a tank like this in person. The closest any have come is in crackling propaganda broadcasts and smuggled operational manuals. Ket's team inspect the vehicle carefully. Its condition is as stunning as the expenditure of resources surely required to maintain it. The vehicle is spotlessly clean and in full operational order. Its batteries are charged, its weapons are loaded, and the interior is almost forge-fresh. A bronze plaque boasts of the restoration work involved in bringing the vehicle up to the same state it was before the Battle of Novo Dera. What a waste! Ket and his group come from a world where every drop of fuel is vital. The history of this folly is irrelevant to them. They are here for the future. They spray over the Aquilas to replace them with holier symbols, finishing by renaming the vehicle. Gone is the murderous imperial pomp of Sebastian's lance. Now, defender of the principles of revolution can hunt. They bide their time in the tank, refreshing themselves with its operation and talking about who they are going to kill. It is not so different from a Goliath or a Ridge Runner, and their shared alien blood renders them closer than even the most experienced of tank crews. There is something very thrilling about being a singular organism, a creature that operates only by consensus. When the signal comes to reveal themselves, Ket's crew do not operate on a strict hierarchy of command, but by instinct. Nobody needs to give orders here. They are as one mind, crushing and smashing and searing their way through the strongholds of the oppressor. For the first few hours, the excitement is intoxicating. Their kin are everywhere. No force can stop them. Stun batons and gas charges rain harmlessly upon their steel hide. Over the Vox, rapturous clamavises announce that fathers' fathers have arrived, and that soon their voices will be heard. Over the next few hours, joy gives way to confusion. Far fewer of the unsaved are convinced to join the cause than previously hoped. The clade of the sleepers controls several spires, but struggles to maintain a complete hold on them, with Ket and the defender of the principles of revolution pulled here and there on countless tiny, brutal missions of compliance. There is something else, too. Since birth, each of the clade of the sleepers has felt a buzz in the back of their minds, the vast whispering chorus of fathers' fathers. Many have proposed that on the day of reckoning, this sea of voices would resolve into something comprehensible. The sound is now unmistakably clear. There are no revelations in the words, only hunger. The righteous anger of revolutionary zeal begins to crumble to petty irritation. The crew bicker. They give orders. Ket is forced to assert rank. They no longer feel like a single organism, but 5 sweaty, hungry bodies in a steel shell covered in drying blood. The Russ, despite no outward flaw, becomes increasingly difficult to operate. It turns sluggishly. Its guns jam. Its weapons traverse stickily. The Imperial forces keep coming. The Clade have killed their way through the civil militia and enforcers now. These are off-worlders, Astra Militarum drop troops trained for hive insertion. Ket tries to hail forward command posts for a picture of what is going on, of just why the Imperium has so many reinforcements ready, of where the Clade's own carefully prepared forces may be, but no information is forthcoming. Every Vox band is filled with staticky screams, of rapture or terror nobody can judge. When the reinforcements arrive, they are not from the clade of the sleepers, but the fathers' fathers. It is impossible to think when they are close. It is easier just to watch. There are so many of them, and so few. To be with them is to finally be at one, and to be impossibly alone, with nothing but hunger. Ket's clade are allowed a little of their human minds, so that they may operate the tank at maximum effectiveness. Distantly, above the whining, endless screech of a billion alien voices saying nothing, Ket hears rounds impact the hull, first like a hail of rain, and then in a burst of light too bright to see, and a sound too loud to hear, and then… Ket reels from the concussion. He can only open one of his eyes. He can see Garrick slumped over at his station, his head caught, open-eyed, at an impossible angle. Thrin is nowhere to be seen. He can hear over the din of gunfire and the ringing in his ears that Thomas is outside, roaring and yelping like a wild animal. Alok is muttering to himself in the driver's seat. He has used his taloned third arm to remove his own eyes. Ket's conscious mind, dizzy and reeling, gives way to what remains of his human subconscious. He realizes that he is terrified. This is wrong. Everything is wrong. His body is wrong. He is covered in blood. Something awful is pulling at his mind, something old and hungry and utterly idiotic. He knows now that he will die. He will not be saved. But perhaps there is a small chance at redemption. He peers through the view slit. Outside, black-armored giants are fighting with a towering, chittering creature. Despite their size, the giants and the creature both move with impossible speed and grace. A distant feeling of dread and awe fills Ket. This is, angels. No, gods. He places his hands on the grips of the hull-mounted last cannon and makes his choice. The last cannon's beam strikes wide, cutting a long, smoking gouge in the Tyrannid's carapace. It is not enough to kill the beast, but it provides the Space Marines with the advantage they need. Silver gauntlets flick to fire selectors, expertly switching from heavy-cored, armor-piercing rounds to acid shells that burn the creature from the inside. When their ammunition is dry, they set about it with hands and blades, thrusting their fists into the beast's flanks to pull out reeking bundles of alien organs. It dies slowly. The rest of the creatures fall back in a panic, severed from their brood mind. The Space Marines pause to reload and offer stiff battle blessings to one another, stopping only to gun down the lone cultist emerging from the Lehman Russ battle tank. "Filth," says one. There are nods. They beat their way into the tank with their fists, pulling out the remaining crew and throwing them over the side of the hive. They remove the bolter shells, the promethium, and the last cannon. They take apart the tank with the same dispassionate efficiency with which they took apart the Tyrannid. Only one Space Marine offers anything like mercy to the shattered vehicle, marking it with a recovery flare for the Astra Militarum and a prayer on behalf of Ferrus Manus and Mars. "You are brave, machine spirit. We give thanks for your aid." He leaves his combat blade on the engine housing. This machine is a warrior. If it is to fall here, it deserves to be buried like one.